what's up, you guys? Welcome to The Return with Josh and Maria Cribbs. I'm Maria.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome to another beautiful day. Josh, hold on. Before you start, I know you want to talk about the Browns. I know. And viewers,
Browns.
y'all know y'all want to talk about sports. But hold on.
Okay,
Let me just tell you, a legend was in our city, baby.
Oh, legend?
Yeah.
Who was in our city?
Nicki Minaj, Josh.
Okay,
but
yeah.
guess what?
Okay, tell me.
She was at Tower City Mall. Ryan, you got the video? Now look, you know Marissa, my
Yes.
lash goddess.
Yes.
She is a Barb. Like in Barb, if y'all don't know, a Barb is a Nicki Minaj super fan.
Oh.
She caught up with her at Tower City. I guess she was dropping stuff. She had like some shoe release.
You got a picture or something?
I got a video. Go ahead. It's Twitter for you. Was it the last you told me to go be careful with the baby. I got a picture of it. And so I just wanted to show you a little. That was a little clip. But what I'm saying is,
Nicki Minaj let them
she got
get
a photo
close.
too of her, and that's my thing.
Oh, wow.
Because we
okay.
always hear.
Oh, look, that's her?
Yeah, that's her. That's Marissa, and that's
Look
her
at
baby
Nikki.
Angelo.
Hey,
Right, that's
Nikki.
Nikki. But when I texted her, because I wanted to know, I was like, how was she? She was like, oh my goodness, she was so sweet. Now, mind you, Marissa has paid extra money at Nicki Minaj's concerts to do like the meet and greets to
Right,
meet her.
right.
But she got to meet her for free, got to talk to her, and she said she was the sweetest woman ever. And I like that because sometimes you hear things about Nicki in the blogs and all
industry and
that.
stuff, yeah.
You hear, that she may not be too kind, but that was a proof right there. She said that she was
That was
a
awesome.
sweet, kind, gentle.
I didn't see no big old security guards around.
And it was a pop-up meet and greet.
Yeah.
Like fans rushed down there. I was like, how'd you get down there so fast?
Usually artists don't let kids get that close because kids will pull on you, do all that. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good of her.
We in Cleveland, so we
Yeah,
civilized
she
here in
was
Cleveland,
real.
though.
She was real. Not all the time.
And Josh, I got a story to tell you though about. So shout out to Marissa. That's the lash ball. She does my lashes. If you're looking to get your lashes done, you can follow on Instagram.
Okay.
So let me just tell y'all real quick. Now y'all know
Real quick now,
when you say Friday Night Lights, what do you think of?
football.
High school football, right?
High school football.
Okay, so I went down to the Holben versus Akron game, right?
Okay.
Why
Akron.
Why didn't you want to go?
Because our son, he's a freshman who sits varsity normally. He doesn't play varsity unless they beating the team really bad. Then he'll get some time.
But he got in.
JV.
He got like 4 minutes. Like your son.
I didn't know that.
But you sent me with my beautiful self down there by myself because the single fathers be out there.
They got to take they got to take that headache away from me then.
So let me tell y'all, before we get into Browns talk, let me tell you what happened. So I leave to go to the game. Now the game starts at 7. I didn't get there till about 8:45. I'm gonna be honest with you. I pull up and I noticed about 10 cop cars. So I said,
East Akron.
Oh, okay, all right,
East
Akron. Okay,
Akron.
we in
Yes,
here.
sir.
So then I find a little parking spot, and I'm looking like, man, why are all these kids outside the gate? Right? Pull up to the gate. I walk up to the gate. It's like I'm not even joking,
A lot
Josh.
of people?
It was about 50 police officers.
Wow.
Right? So then
I
this
know
police
they had
officer.
to be safe then.
Now Ryan, listen to this. So I'm walking. You said it had to be safe there. Okay, so
Yeah.
look, I'm walking up. A police comes to stop me. He said, ma'am.
Who you doing? What
he
you
didn't
doing,
say
beautiful?
Ma'am. He said,
hey, beautiful.
He said, are you a student or a parent? I'm like,
Oh.
I'm freaking 40 years old. I said, I'm a parent. And he looked at me like, okay, I'll walk you over. I'm like, all right. So we go over to the
main gate.
The main gate. And the officer was like, yeah, she's a parent trying to get in. He's like, the guy looked, he said, she's not no parent, she's a student. I was like, what? Like, first of all, I was like, yeah. I was like, no. He was like, no. He was like, where's your ID?
So you was excited
I know
because
that they have metal detectors.
Right.
You can't bring your purses in. So I didn't have my ID on me. It's back at the car.
Right.
So I was like, are you
Are
joking?
you serious or you just giving me a
He was
compliment?
like, I'm dead serious. Go on back to the car because
He
you're
like,
not.
nah,
You're
take your
not a
raggedy
parent.
self back to the car.
And I felt stupid because I honestly thought he was playing, but he told me he was like, "No, you a student. Go back and get your ID." Then I'm like, "Wait a minute." So I didn't know if I'd be insulted.
So how you get in the game then?
So then I had to tell the officer. I was like, "You watch football?" I said, Josh Cruz, I'm his wife.
She
so then
pulled
the
the
guy
card out
overheard
on
me,
him.
but he said last time he saw you didn't speak to him.
Man,
He's like,
that's blasphemy.
you Crib's wife?
Blasphemy.
He's like, oh, you Crib's wife? I said,
Blasphemy.
yeah. He said, you come on in, but your husband didn't say hi to me last time you walked through.
I speak to everybody.
That's what I was saying. I think I
I
called
talk to
cap on that.
everybody.
But Josh, now I might look young. I don't look high school young. I don't look a teenager.
No,
so
you look like, you know what I'm saying, like auntie, like mom had you like in high school. You was raised, because of your attitude, you could tell you had young parents. And your parents was like, you can do whatever you want.
I didn't have young parents, though.
You did. I was just messing with you. That's all.
But Josh, I was just I felt bad because he was kind of rude about it. Like, nah, I'm dead serious.
So
go back to the car, get your ID.
Get in?
Yeah, I had a name drop a little bit, but that's all it was. But I was just a little disappointed, Josh, because now in certain areas, kids have to either be 18 or over, or students have to be accompanied by an adult to get to the game.
Man, you got
now,
people want to be safe. kids be wilding out these days.
Now we live in North Royalton.
And
Hold on, we live in North Royalton.
Right.
They don't require kids to be accompanied by a parent to get into the game.
They don't, but it mostly be parents at the game. They
No.
don't make it mostly. It be a student section, but not like some
But
schools.
I will say a fight did break out as soon as the game was over. I said,
Exactly.
you know what?
Let's
I almost got
stop
stand here.
pretending. Don't pretend, because in D.C. and Washington, D.C., we didn't have night games.
If you're going to have metal detectors over there, have them everywhere.
Right. They didn't let us have night games because they like, nah, they going to start shooting and we ain't going to spend a lot of money. 50 cops wouldn't have been at our school. They be like, the cops would have been like, hey, who playing for this overtime? Like that. They don't have the money. So we had our games at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
You didn't get out till 3:15. So if it was a game going, half the students watching from the building.
Right. Can I ask you this, though, especially with you growing up in D.C., which used to be the murder capital of the country.
Murder capital, yep.
When I was sitting outside the game the week before, I saw a lot of kids who I felt like, man, they should be out there on the field playing.
Right. Like,
Because
what are you doing out here?
I could tell
Yes.
their life might not go the right way.
What are you doing out here and not in the game?
Did you feel like
or on
some of the
field?
students that you went to school with, like, man, if y'all was just had some
my
structure,
gosh,
or if y'all was
most
just,
of them.
you
It's
know?
so many kids that supposed to have been on the field. Instead, they just always hanging around the field. No structure. Nobody forcing them to go and be on the team like a lot of our parents did.
Yeah.
And then it took hold. No real guidance or people to be accountable to.
Right.
And so it's not enough of that.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But we're gonna get into football now.
I guess we're gonna get into not high school football, but pro football. Don't go anywhere, you guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. All right, you guys, it's time for some key takeaways. And this segment is brought to you by no other than Affinity Whole Health. Now, Affinity Whole Health offers personalized treatment plans to help people feel better. Whether you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, muscle loss, poor sleep, they can help with it all. Infinity Whole Health provides expert guidance and support to help you safely reach your health goals. And they really have Ohio covered. I keep telling you, Josh, they have offices in Cleveland and Columbus. So don't wait any longer.
Don't do it.
Set up a free consultation by going to
had ours.
AffinityWholeHealth.com. And I will say this. We had our blood work and all that. We put it all on the show. And guess who's been doing their cardio? Josh has been doing his cardio, trying to get his numbers down. Yay!
Yes, indeed. But now it's time for the key takeaways. And now we're going to start with Josh's key takeaways.
Go ahead,
and
baby,
then
do your
Ryan's.
thing.
Okay, let's get this. All right, so one thing that was different from both games, Ryan and Maria, is the offensive line, right? We established the run. And the first play of the game was a run. And it went for a few yards, I think 7 yards. And Donta Foreman, he started the game. Picked up 7 yards in the first. And I knew instantly after that first play that this was going to be a different game. Our guys looked hungry up there on the offensive line. And they, for the most part, they got it done. So my first key takeaway was that we established the run with our offensive line, Jerome Ford and Donta Foreman. Next, we had Deshaun Watson. That was the biggest, problem in a lot of people's perception of game one was Deshaun Watson. We need better play from our quarterback.
Right.
But did we get better play and did he make great strides in this game? His accuracy was on point. The slant routes, the dig routes, the corner routes. Even though we still had a few drops here and there, the passes were on the money. Also, extending plays. His ability not to have to throw the ball away when guys aren't open, to scramble like we talked about last week. The scramble drill is like Jeudy hurt me. Jeudy hurt me because when Deshaun Watson scrambled out of the pocket, who did he find more than once, more than twice? Jeudy. He threw him a dime on the sideline. That was accuracy and Deshaun Watson's ability to extend plays. He played phenomenal during that point of the game. And then we go to the last one, defense. Of course, the defense came through all through the game. Let's just say one mishap where they gave up a chunk play. But when we look at the majority of the game, you had Denzel Ward almost having 2 picks. You had Martin Emerson almost having a pick with the play breakups. The secondary was on fire. The D-line with the safety. I mean, you had the defense on fire down there in enemy territory. They were on point. So shout out to those guys, man. The defensive front and the secondary, they came to play. And I have an honorable mention.
Uh-oh.
My honorable mention.
I hope it's mine.
Is special teams.
Oh, okay.
It's special teams because they gave up that play, the touchdown, the week before.
Yep.
And everybody was a team loss. But you had Borges, you had Hopkins, doing phenomenal jobs. You had a punt that was punted from, I want to say, the 30, 40-yard line all the way down to the 1 or the 2-yard line of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which allowed us to then go ahead and get the go-ahead sack. And that's how offenses and defense and special teams are supposed to play complementary sports, complementary football, and they did just that. Ryan, your key takeaways.
Yeah.
What you got for us?
Well, first, I'm going to start with opening game script. Kevin Stefanski remains one of the best head coaches in the NFL of scripting out the first 10 to 15 plays. What are you going to do when you get the ball first? It was key that he got Deshaun Watson comfortable. You saw in that first drive, he saw Jeudy, he saw Elijah Moore. And what did it lead to? It led to ultimately Deshaun Watson getting the ball in the end zone himself. I like that we saw a little bit of a Ken Dorsey influence, if you will. We were accustomed to seeing that with Josh Allen. You could tell he had part of that, but Kevin Stefanski's game plan for the first 10 to 15 plays was crucial, especially given that the offense kind of faltered the second half. So that was my first key takeaway. Second key takeaway is interior D-line pressure. We all know Myles Garrett is the best edge rusher, maybe the best defender in football, and we've been looking for that Robin to his Batman, if you will. Now, usually you think that would come from the outside, the other edge, Darius Smith, who also had a good game, but I thought what was crucial in this game was the interior D-line pressure. You saw Alex Wright get the key sack after the Corey Bjorkes punt. You saw Quentin Jefferson get a huge sack during the game, right? When those guys inside are doing their job, it just makes Myles' life easier, and it causes havoc on the quarterback. Great job from the interior D-line. Number 3, I just left it as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He remains an absolute game changer. He is everywhere on the field. He's the perfect linebacker downhill in a Jim Schwartz scheme. He disrupts every single play. He sheds blocks, gets to the point of attack, and he had an outstanding game yesterday. Outstanding game Sunday, I should say. Now, Josh, I believe you have a player of the game.
I do have a player of the game. Saying all of that, our player of the game is none other than Jerry Jeudy.
Okay, I was about to say it has to be Jerry Jeudy.
Jeudy is our Affinity Whole Health player of the game. And it's like because he heard me, Ryan.
I think he did.
He heard me when I spoke of the scramble drill. If you was running one route, that route must change and break off in the direction of the quarterback, which he did multiple times, catching the ball, toe drag. I mean, it was beautiful. It's teach tape, as they say. Teach tape is something that you could teach off of to teach the guys behind you.
How to do it.
The younger guy. Yes.
Do it just like this.
He created teach tape, and it was phenomenal for me to see receivers catching the football. And I want to say this, Ryan. I don't know if Jerry Jeudy would have had player of the game for me if there wasn't drop passes. If Amari Cooper would have caught those passes that he dropped, especially the longer one, the corner route. If he catches those passes, I would have probably picked the defensive line or somebody on the defense, or even Deshaun Watson for battling through to put up a respectable game that we could say that's our quarterback. Yeah, that's who we can be.
The defense on Sunday was outstanding again, as you'd expect, right? Especially that second half when the offense couldn't really move the ball. I mentioned the interior D-line. Myles was great. Denzel Ward was great, even though he was on a pitch count. Martin Emerson almost had that pick. I knew he really wanted it. He was close. Greg Newsome had some good coverage plays. He got beat on the one with Brian Thomas Jr.
Which was huge.
Yeah, and ultimately that led to their touchdown, right? But ultimately, a great game from the defense, and they're a big reason that you won this game, no doubt about it.
So when I look at key fixes, Ryan and Maria, I'm looking at penalties. Penalties still plagued. We still kept getting penalties. Those misalignment penalties, some holding calls. I mean, we're plagued by that. We have to fix that. Defense gave up, and we just said it. Defense gave up a chunk play. Those are the biggest things that the defense no defense won because it changes the game immediately. They had them backed up. That was going to be a go-ahead. That play actually kept them in it. That's why when we had, looking at game as a whole, they was actually could have lost, like the Raiders beat the Ravens.
Yeah,
like It was a close game because of that chunk play.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when you're not moving the ball, that's all it takes for the other team is one big play, and that was the Achilles heel for the Browns defense last year. You know, they were amazing at home, and it didn't happen very often, but it did on the road, and that's the chunk plays. The secondary, you got busted over top, and you gave up something huge, and that was ultimately, you know, a big part of the reason you got blown out by Houston in that playoff game. So you got to limit those. I understand it's tough on the road. It's tough when you got players banged up. Juan Thornhill was out, obviously. But you expect Ronnie Hickman to still step up and those guys to make those plays. Greg Newsome was the one that got beat in this particular time, but those are, you know, the difference between win and losing.
Right. And then just the drop passes.
When it comes to Jerry Jeudy doing an amazing job this game, what happened to him last week?
Right.
Oh.
No,
I didn't expect you to say,
agree.
well, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm
I
like,
agree.
man, how does it, you were here last week, what was the connection
Would
not there?
change, right?
Yeah, would change.
I would say, you know, one of Ryan's keys, you know, the script. You know, I think, you know, like we said, one of the best, you know, opening scripts for a coordinator, I think is our guy, you know, Kevin Stefanski. The play calling was better.
Yeah. And
Coach put Jeudy in very good positions to make plays. Again, they were in these positions, in my opinion, last week. I saw a little shorter routes. We did a lot of meshes. So that's where receivers cross each other because they were in man a little bit. The Jaguars was in man a little bit because in zone, you don't stay on a run. You don't run through zones. So Jerry Jeudy was able to pick up a lot of first downs. And again, these were play extensions from Deshaun Watson being able to, you know, to scramble. But Maria, you bring an interesting point, and I asked you about this, Ryan. I said, who would Deshaun Watson's favorite target be? And they had chemistry. Jeudy and Watson had chemistry.
I saw something out there.
And we were talking about, you know, Amari Cooper having issues. What do you think about that? Are you still? Yeah. And I don't mind it if it wins us games. Do you see it changing, like this kind of being a fluke, like Amari Cooper's still our guy, or there's a changing of the guard?
I mean, I still think Amari Cooper's going to be the number one. I still think he's the most talented on the field, but think about it, right? When these D coordinators are looking at Deshaun Watson, he's already a struggling quarterback. You're going to go take away his best weapon, and that's still Amari Cooper. Now, Jerry Jeudy's probably a little bit easier to scheme open because he's not on the outside as often as Amari Cooper. You can get some mismessage cross routes, right? And that's what you saw. That's what you saw with Elijah Moore, too. And by any means, it doesn't help when Amari Cooper's dropping the ball, but I don't have any reason to believe that's going to continue. I still think, and I hope at the end of the day, Amari Cooper is going to be the number one because I think that would lend to the most success at the end of the season in terms of totality for the team. But yeah, I can't argue that Deshaun Watson looked like he had chemistry with Jerry Jeudy. But I mean, that's a great thing. Like if your wide receiver 2 has a great rapport with your quarterback, nobody's going to ever complain.
Right.
Josh, Ryan, when it comes to Amari Cooper, because I've been hearing what everybody's saying over there on X.
Right.
Is he off to a slow start? Are you not allowed to have a bad game? What is it? What's going on? You want to talk about when we get back?
I mean,
hold on. You want to talk about when we get back?
All right, let's
All
do
right, we're
that.
going to talk about Amari Cooper coming up next. Don't go anywhere. All right, now welcome back to the show. Now, Josh, Amari Cooper, is he off to a slow start? And are you not allowed to have a bad game?
You know what? And I'm going to ask Reggie Langhorne. He's going to be on the show. And I'm going to ask him about,
got the legend on the show.
A wide receiver. Who better to ask?
Right.
I was a wide receiver, but sometimes I can be a bit biased, you know, because I'm really for this team. And I sometimes have a narrow view.
Only a bit, like a little bit or a lot of bit.
My view is narrow on what their potential as opposed to what it is right now.
Yeah.
You know, from the outside looking in. Sometimes I can do it, I get upset. I'm like, nah, man, you got to catch every ball. But he's human. He's allowed to have a bad game or two, Ryan, because of his total body of work. When we talk about Amari Cooper, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper has been nothing but consistent ever since he's gotten here in Cleveland, not only on the field, but, you know, he's been the poster man, for, if you will, for just professionalism ever since he got to Cleveland. It's a bad start to the season. There's no way around that, you know, but there's some mental things going on probably with him. I mean, you have a contract, you know, this is your last year in Cleveland, likely. I think that could play into it. But again, like, I mean, it's 2 drops that were big. They came in big moments. They wouldn't be as big if they were just, not wide open misses. And that hurts because your quarterback's already struggling and you want to give him the most help possible. And you'd expect the last person to make drops like that is Amari Cooper. But like, we can just sit here and be upset about it, of course. But at the end of the day, like, he's going to get it together. It's Amari Cooper. I have no reason to believe that this is going to be a trend that continues into the season.
Y'all didn't catch that. And can I just say, that's why I rock with Ryan. He said poster man. He could have easily said poster boy, poster child. And Josh,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's big
that's very
on
mindful.
content.
That's very
She's
demure.
big on
Thank you,
semantics.
Because Josh was when
She's
he's
big on
Thank
when
you,
you
semantics.
call
Maria.
people kid, I'm like,
Right.
don't call they're grown men. Don't call them kids.
She's big on
Let's go,
semantics
Ryan.
and how
That's why I rock with Ryan.
Thank you,
we
Maria.
sometimes call younger
Players
athletes
kids, and I had to check 'em.
Like,
I
he's
checked
a good
'em.
kid and
Right.
he plays well.
I checked you, didn't
like,
I?
He's 21 years old. You don't want nobody calling you a kid. I'm like, okay.
Ryan did all
You
Ryan.
right. But in some
Yeah.
other football news,
Mhm.
K. York, he was released.
Mm-hmm.
He missed 2 field goals week 1 for the Washington Commanders,
Oh.
and he was released. And so now the Browns, we don't receive that condition late round pick because the condition was if he lasted 2 games, we would get a 6 or 7
They
round
had
pick.
somebody right there monitoring that too.
And so he missed 2 big field goals for the Commanders, for the Washington Commanders
Yep.
week 1.
Let him go immediately, expeditiously.
They let him go expeditiously,
Ah.
cut him. Now we don't get our pick. Okay, moving on. I have a
They're
question
gonna
for
cut him
you
anyway.
guys.
If that was in the contract, they're gonna cut him anyway.
I mean,
Nah,
2
they gonna cut
games,
him anyway.
That ain't hard. You need a kicker. If he would have made them, he's on the team. He missed 2 kicks.
Dang, how you miss
2. That was his chance. It may not come up again. He
Yeah.
may get one more shot somewhere when it's desperately needed, but it may not. So moving on.
Mhm.
Here go a question for you guys.
All right.
Should Tua, the Dolphins quarterback, retire after getting another concussion? Now listen, he got concussed Sunday when tackled by DeMar Hamlin. We remember DeMar Hamlin, he had
carted
CPR
off.
given
Yeah,
on him.
right.
And life-saving CPR on the field, right? He was brought back to life. And he was actually involved in the tackle and the concussion. It wasn't to his fault, but it was really Tua not sliding properly or getting down properly. But should he retire after getting another concussion? What say you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to say because I'm not a guy who has gotten to the highest stage of playing the sport that you've grown up and loved and has become basically your whole life, that of course being football. But at the end of the day, you're still in your mid-20s. You've already made enough money to support you and your family. As fun as football is and as much as you've given your life to it, it's not worth the rest of your life, in my opinion, right? I mean, injuries are one thing, but concussions are a whole nother. Just the toll that it takes on you and your loved ones and your family. I would personally, if I were him, I would retire. And it's easy to say in my shoes, I'm not him. But I mean, that's just something you can't mess around with. And we're yet to see probably really the long-term results of CTE. Like, obviously you have your examples now, but I mean, in 20 years, what's to say,
Right.
the amount of more cases that come out that we see, it's just not worth the rest of your life, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Maria, what you think? After seeing concussions, after knowing everything that I've been through,
After
as
watching
far
my
as
husband
getting
get knocked out time
yeah.
and time again,
For
playing
2
a game that he
commercial
loves,
breaks.
that he's been playing since he was 7 years
Right.
old. I had a conversation with my mother,
Mhm.
and my mother felt some kind of way that his wife was advocating for him to still play as well. I think you ever had something that you're so passionate about, like he's been playing since he was a young man.
Right.
You take someone's passion away from them, they feel empty.
Right.
What else do they have to offer? Because that's
Right.
all they know, right?
Right.
I think Tua knows his body. I know that he would want to, continue to play.
Right.
But whose job is it to protect someone from themselves?
Exactly.
And when it comes to, and I might even be desensitized from it because I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad,
Right,
But
right.
I'm used to seeing, what you
Big
went
hits,
through.
Right.
But when you take someone's passion away from them, especially when they feel like they still have it, that could lead to depression. That could lead to so many other things. So,
Right.
I mean, he knows his body, but whose job is it to protect him from himself? Like Ryan said, he's had a wonderful career. He's made a lot of money, but some things aren't about money. I'm sure he can go on and do other great things, but I don't know. It's a tough one for me.
I hear you. I agree. I agree with both of you guys. I think it's up to his family. It's up to him. I still played, so I know.
It was
what
times
he
you got
goes
knocked
through.
out. You was there. You
I
would
got
be
knocked out.
you'd
Worse
be there
than
the next
him.
week. I'm like,
You know, right. And my own teammates will come up and be like, Josh, man, you got the money. You got the money. But my passion was on that field. So I get it. Sometimes you have to protect players from themselves, just like Maria said. And with that, we'll take another commercial break. What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Return. Okay, let's just hop right back into it. I said I was going to have somebody on with me that can help me explain the game a little further. And we're talking about the drops. We're talking about last Sunday's game. So I'm bringing in none other than somebody who's did it himself, Reggie Langhorne, former Browns wide receiver. He's on the Tailgate 19 with me every Sunday morning.
Good to see you, Josh.
Reggie, what's up, baby? How you doing?
Doing well. Things are good today.
That's good. When I'm gonna just hop into it because we have really good banter, Ryan, when we're on Tailgate, and we go back and forth more so off during the commercial break than when we on live television. And so I'm bringing Reggie on today because and looking at that game, and we'll talk about Deshaun. But what's going on in your mind with Cooper? That's 2 weeks now. 2 weeks in a row now, we've had drop passes from not just receivers, but surprisingly, one of our more sure-handed catchers in Amari Cooper. What do you think is going on?
You know, it's surprising that Cooper's got that much time in the league and he's getting off to a slow start. And a lot of it has to do with concentration. And you're a punt and kick returner, you know, you got to keep your eyes on the ball. Now, I really wonder sometimes about his attitude about being here or his attitude about just simply playing with Deshaun, because they've never really had any great chemistry. They've been able to do the job for a very short time for the 2 years that they both have been together here, but it has never clicked. And that's surprising because they're both good pros. They're both good athletes. And I would expect Cooper to make some of those balls that he put on the ground. The first one, I was surprised. But the second one, I was like, oh, no. Right. And you don't want to get the yips or you don't want to get the shanks if you're a golfer. And actually, as a receiver, that's your job is to receive. When you start having trouble keeping your eyes on the ball and having drops, it can get in your head mentally.
But see, and I'm going to push back on you on that because, you know, and look, I got my hair cut today, Ryan. Not my hair, but I got trimmed up. So at the barbershop, somebody else said the same thing and was basically like, they feel like he has an attitude or something. And we know that Amari Cooper is a little shy, not shy, but he's a man of small words, kind of like a Chubb, more introvert. Right. You don't hear him talk much. You know, yes, he gives interviews and things like that, but it's kind of straight and to the point. So when we say he has an attitude, I'm not sure. I don't see that. And would that be enough to just drop passes? Is that him being in the head? You said him not being on the same page with Deshaun, but that's not going to make me drop no passes. I'm not about to go out there and be like, let me show him I'm mad at him.
And you're absolutely right. I'm not saying that any attitude would end with a guy who gets paid by production.
Right.
And that's really how we make our money. And obviously, that's how we keep our friends on a football team is to play well. But you can get in your head sometimes or not be as focused as a guy would normally be and still have issues with just simply catching the football. You know the NFL is the best players in the world, and you have to be in your A game every week, in and out. You know, I've never really heard much great conversation out of Cooper like you heard when he spoke about how he enjoyed playing with Flacco. And these are just things that I've seen or I've noticed. It still doesn't give a pro. It still doesn't give a pro the right to not be prepared to play. And if you're going to be a receiver, then that means you probably should be receiving.
Yes.
Yeah, Reggie, I got to ask, because you just mentioned it. I mean, we saw Amari Cooper last year go to new heights when Joe Flacco was under center, right? You go back to that game in Texas, right? Sets his career high at over 200 yards. Is there something mental to that where you had so much success with this quarterback? He goes away. You bring back Deshaun Watson, who you haven't had as much success with. We've seen some instances of it. But how does that play mentally as a receiver when you have to go from one quarterback who you prove to excel with down to another quarterback who maybe has a different play style that doesn't mesh with what you do as well?
It messes with you. I mean, that's just the way it is. I've had quarterbacks. I played a season where there was 5 different quarterbacks, and there was 2 of them that I didn't mesh well with. But then they had Don Stark that came out of Miami, who I had the greatest chemistry with. But as a pro in today's football, you have to catch the football and be prepared to catch the football.
That's
no
the
matter
Reggie
who.
I know.
I don't care if the guy was left-handed and they say, oh, he
Right.
throws it a little different than the other guy. The whole idea about catching a football is being able to see it the last 6 inches. So that means your concentration is off if you're not catching balls. And you know what? The only way to get more balls thrown to you is to catch the ones thrown to you.
Exactly. And I was about to say, there you go, Ryan. That's the Reggie I know. Because I'm about to, your response was making me feel like you got an excuse? Not
No,
Reggie
absolutely
not
not.
Langhorne.
No, hey, listen. We had this conversation about salaries the other day. You make $20 million.
Yes.
You can catch 2 passes for me a week
I
and
don't
get
care
paid
if a
$20 million.
clown-
That's a heck of a job.
I don't care if a clown out there throwing the ball. However that ball comes, it's my job. Like you said, receiving, I'm going to receive. I'm going to catch the ball. Right. And no matter how. And yes, you talked about, go ahead.
And there's a lot with, like we watch football games from our TVs, but then you get back in the rooms on Monday and you study film. And if I am open, if I know my number's been called and in the progression of balls being thrown my way, then I have no reason to be upset because the ball should be coming to me and I should be prepared. We know where the ball should go on most routes, pending with the defense is playing.
Absolutely.
And Amari Cooper is the #1 receiver on this football team. But Jeudy played pretty good himself Sunday, so he's going to probably start getting some more attempts. I think that Kevin Stefanski will try and find a way to get Amari in the game early and get him excited about playing and try to get him out of the dumpster. And not saying he's in the dumpster, but you drop 2 balls in a big game like that and on 3rd down, that can make a guy second guess a lot of things about himself.
Absolutely, because when you looked at him that first game and he was dropping passes, we all kind of, as a fan base, that was an anomaly. Nah, not Coop. He going to be all right. It's Coop, guys. Don't worry about it because he's so sure-handed. But we see now consistent drops. Week to week, he's brought it in from week 1. So, like you said, I know it's probably mental. It has to be because you have a sure-handed guy. The yips, as we're saying, we're making up, things that athletes go through when they're on that type of stage. We hope he can get it together. I know Jerry Jeudy has found himself, picking up the slack as good wideouts should do for one another. And offense shouldn't make or break for one guy if that one guy is not your quarterback. So he did mesh well with the tight end Akins.
Well, that was his guy from Houston when they were back in Houston a while back. Akins had a lot of time in the league, so they were familiar with each other. It was nice to see him get a chance to play, being that Njoku was out.
Okay, now let's get to the nitty-gritty, man.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson. Everybody, we're very critical of him. And I think so, Ryan, because of the amount of money we gave Deshaun Watson. Our fan base cannot ignore what we think and should expect from him. Looking at the way he played, was this enough of Deshaun Watson to take us through the season? The way he played this game, was this enough to get us through the season?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, brother. You almost lost this football game. They had the ball last with a chance to win. And if you watch the games the last night on Monday Night Football, Philadelphia was winning by 6 points with a minute to go, and they ended up losing. I don't think we did enough in the second half to secure a win. Obviously, drop balls is a problem. Defense played pretty good to hold Lawrence and his group back, but they still were in that football game, and we should have outclassed them.
Was it quarterback play? Now, that's what I'm getting.
Quarterback play. And Deshaun, the first half.
What else could he have done?
I come from the old school of you get on the field, you get out the huddle, you get to the line of scrimmage, you make your calls. Everybody knows what's going on. It's zip, zip. We go, we get back, we rock and roll. The first game against Dallas, I said that they looked so lethargic, we're just out here kind of hanging out playing a football game. It's opening day. You got every kind of marketing, planes flying and people breaking guitars and Machine Gun Kelly. And you got all this stuff going on, and they seem like they did not come to play.
Right.
But that offense in that first half on Sunday, they were in and out of the huddle. He was making calls. He even slipped a couple of tackles, sustained plays. He threw the ball real nice. The guys had some nice throws, and he looked like the guy that played for Houston in 2020. Now, we may never get that guy back, But if you get Nick Chubb or somebody that can run the football, and I think
Right.
Freeman or Foreman and the Ford did a nice job running the football, and if we can get everybody catching the Njoku back, I think we'll be fine. We cannot say, okay, this game was a game that sold the entire city of Cleveland that they still love Deshaun. Deshaun will have to do this week 3, week 4,
Right.
week 5. He's got to put together a string of wins, because I remember when Jacoby Brissett was here, he did a pretty good job of leading the team down the field on first drives and scoring points. And so did Flacco. Well, this may have been Deshaun Watson's first week doing that. And this was his 14th game. So for me, that was a sign that they're all on the same page. Everybody understands what's going on, and they're ready to play ball. So I was excited to see that. And obviously, there was a little fall off on the second half, but yet we come away with a win. And if you win ugly, I don't care.
Right, just
a win is a win, and we can fix the other stuff up so that when we see the Giants on this Sunday, we don't have some of that downside. But I was really impressed with the way Deshaun threw the ball in the first half. I was impressed of his command in the huddle and the way he looked like he was coming out of the huddle to play football.
Absolutely. It was, for me, Reggie, it was a breath of fresh air. The passes were on time. They were on the money. He scrambled. He eluded capturers, defenders. Out of the pocket, extended plays, came up big with the throw on the sideline a few times to Jeudy, to Jerry Jeudy. And like you said, that drop that Amari Cooper had, that could have been huge and made him look even better. So I think, in my perspective was, play calling would help as well in the second half because things tighten up. Running game more in the second half would have helped as well. But as of Deshaun Watson, I think if we can continue to see that guy who played, I don't want to just say the first half because he still was making plays and extending it. Yes, he had a bonehead play that in some people's mind, and we'll talk about that later, in some people's mind kind of made him, mute as far as like it overshadowed the good things he did because that could have blew it. Like you said, the game was down to the wire.
Correct.
But I think as a whole, he had a passing grade. And with the team that we have, no drop balls because we don't expect our veteran players, like especially Amari Cooper, to drop balls. We expect our 2-time recipient, Coach of the Year recipient to coach well. I think if Deshaun plays like this and everybody else plays like they should play, I think we will have a good football year. I think you will see us coming down the stretch, eyes looking at the playoffs. That's how I feel from him.
And it does for me. I don't think Deshaun has to be Superman every week. And if people are expecting that, I don't think there's any quarterback in the league that's Superman every week. Some week you run the ball very well, and you might have to only throw on third down, dink and ducks, and move the football and score points. Some weeks your defense may be lights out and get turnovers and make the field short for you. So there's so many variations. But if we expect him to just come out and throw for 350 yards every week, I hope we don't have to have a team to rely on one guy week in and week out. I mean, the whole cast of guys should be able to carry the load. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Right. And Reggie, man, I don't want to hold you too long, but I do hope you come back on the show because I want you to come in so we can butt heads. I like our banter back and forth. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
You're welcome,
Reggie Langhorne. Thank you.
Much love, Josh. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
All right, baby.
All right, guys. We're going to take another commercial break. Shout out to that man, Reggie Langhorne. We'll be right back.
All right, now you guys, welcome back to the Return with Josh and Maria Cribs. Josh, what we got going on?
We have the table read. We heard what Reggie had to say. We've said a lot. Now we have to hear from our fans. Okay, I'm gonna put my reading glasses on. Okay, these ain't my reading glasses. They're definitely not reading glasses.
Your sunnies.
Okay, I'm gonna go first, then Ryan, then Maria. All right, Irene Day. Now this was the question that was posed to if Deshaun Watson plays like he played Sunday, will we be all right for the remainder of the year based off of Deshaun Watson's play last Sunday? All right, and this was the first person, Irene Day at the top. First half play, absolutely. Penalties and drop passes kicked our booties. She didn't say that, but I put another word in there. I think he managed the game very well. I agree. He managed the game very well. We still had drop balls. We had penalties. But without all of that, we good. If we catch the ball and we don't have no drop passes, no penalties, I think that play will sustain us, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple mental mistakes that I kind of, you want to erase. Like you can live with, when you don't play forever and you get pressure. Sure, you're going to be a little bit rusty, but in terms of just last week, right? Like on that one, you got to just take the sack, get down, because the biggest thing in that moment is the clock to tick down and force them to burn a timeout. It's easy to jump down his throat for that kind of stuff, but, he hasn't played much lately. Right. So, I mean, it is what it is, I suppose.
What you got?
Yeah, all right, so look at this here. I got Airtight Roy. I think he did a lot better and showed some signs that he can play up to today's speed of the game because the defenses are much faster and advanced than in 2017. However, we going to need him to be a little more seasoned if we going to beat some elite teams. Jaguars ain't that elite, but I'm satisfied for now. I love how he connected with Jeudy, and I hope him and Cooper don't have a problem with each other. Yeah, I would say Deshaun Watson, that's a step up last Sunday compared to week 1 against the Cowboys. Now, is that play going to vault us to beat teams like the Chiefs, like the Bills, like the Ravens? No, right? He's going to have to be better than he was.
What about if everybody
right now,
catches the passes, though?
Well, no, certainly. And that's a big part. Amari Cooper didn't play his role. But to beat those elite teams that have those true difference makers at quarterback, Deshaun Watson's going to have to be one himself. So I would agree with Airtight Roy.
And you said last week the Jaguars suck, so I figured
I didn't say that.
You said win that.
You said they suck.
You said we should win this game. AKA that's code for they suck.
That is not code for they suck. I said we should have beat the Cowboys too. That don't mean they suck. Go ahead.
We knew you was gonna say that. Okay, this is from Queen_6B. Deshaun wasn't that bad. Coop missed a couple of catches. Borgres forgot the new kicking rule. We almost lost that mug. Too many penalties. I think he'll be okay. They need to be running laps right now despite the sloppy game.
She said, despite the, what is that? Despite the
win.
They need to be running
some laps right now.
They need to be running laps.
And I think that's code for they should have played in the preseason.
Yeah, let's go one more time.
Go ahead.
Ken Miles.
Oh, Ken Miles. That name sounds familiar.
He says, no. His decision to throw the ball in the face of that defender with a minute to go is inexcusable. He's lucky it wasn't intercepted for a pick 6. Plus, take the sack and keep the clock running. Need better decision making.
I think we need angry.
I agree.
We probably need angry Ken on the show.
Yeah, we probably do. But Ryan, that's what we talked about. Elite. He has to continue to be elite quarterback to be elite team, so he has to be better. Go ahead, Ryan. One more.
Alrighty, we're looking at this. This is from Love Strings and Keys. No, Jesus, it wasn't a good game by any measure. It wasn't even average. What are we talking about? Because he didn't completely give the game away, he's on track. Now, listen, I understand that it's frustrating watching Deshaun Watson go out there and not ball out to a $230 million contract level, and I agree with you. But at the same time, this is a 17-game regular season. We're through 2 weeks. He looked awful week 1. He showed an improvement in week 2. That's all I can ask for at this moment, right? I would love for Deshaun Watson to just show up next week and be this game changer, Patrick Mahomes, elite quarterback. Odds are that might not ever come back, right? So I just need to see constant steps, like we're chipping away to Deshaun Watson getting back to what maybe he even used to be.
I thought he was still reading too.
I thought he was still reading.
No.
I was like, dang, how much?
Take a breath, Ryan. Take a breath.
Right? Characters do they?
No, those are my words. Those are my words. Those are my
words.
Right.
What my last one?
Yes,
good. Okay, the last one. Someone says no. Oh, excuse me. Ezekiel _staff. No. It's great that we've seen improvement, but what we're paying him hasn't matched my expectations yet. I'm not hating, but there's a lot more football to play before we can ask that.
Okay.
What's IMO? I don't know.
In my opinion.
In my opinion. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so you learned something new.
When you were high school like I am, I ain't know what IMO meant.
No. But see, that's the question. People put his paycheck, his salary into the mix. I'm not talking about that. And I know it's hard to separate that because we like to count people's money. We got to get that out of our mind. That's what it took to get him here. Period. That's not saying that's what he's worth.
But they saying now that he's here, I'm going to need you to produce.
But we got to just be real when we talk about that money aspect of it. Did he play good enough? So I appreciate their responses. I agree with a lot. But yeah, I think it was a lot of it. We agree with a lot of the stuff that they saying.
All right, I'm about to ask you about something else when we get back.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, now you guys, welcome back to the show. I have a serious question for Josh. What the heck happened in that Kent State game?
Oh, heck no. Getting off of the show.
No, don't leave, Josh. Your boys got blown out by Tennessee,
Hey,
baby.
you know what, Ryan?
Yeah.
I thought they was gonna get 100 scored on them.
Yeah, it was what, 65-0 at
I know
halftime. I
for
mean,
a
what do you
fact.
say if you're the Kent State coach? What do you say in the locker
I was
room to
embarrassed.
even motivate them to walk back
Ryan,
out onto
this is
the
the first
field?
time
I was
I've ever heard
embarrassed. It was
Josh say-
37-0 in the first quarter.
Ryan, this is the first time I ever heard Josh say, I need to be coaching. I need to be coaching that
Okay.
kid. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I've never heard him
I was
say-
about to put a
He's
squad
like, I need to
together.
go. I
Coach
need to be
You,
coaching.
if you watch
He was
Rick
so,
and Morty,
he was so upset.
you watch Rick and Morty, I was about to put a squad together. I was about to call Eric Mangini out of retirement.
Uh-huh.
He got my defense. About to call Charlie Fry or one of my extra guys or
You
Fury.
can call all of
Fury
them.
to be my
Oh.
coordinator. I was gonna assemble a mob and go to Kansas. Like, hey, we
He
got
was
it
so
from here.
mad.
We'll
He was
take.
so- he
That's
was
how
like, they not
mad
doing
I,
my boys
I'm
like
still.
this.
I'm still contemplating. I might have to take because I'm embarrassed, and that's my alma mater, and I care and love them
cares a
dearly.
lot.
So we'll see.
He's like a little Care Bear. He cares so
We'll
much.
see, guys.
And
Thank
Josh
you
said
for
he
coming
think the
for
he think the
watching
Chiefs
us.
he think the Chiefs of the Bengals game was
Set up a little bit. That's
right.
for
How much
next
time
show.
we have? We gotta go.
That's for
Yeah.
next show.
Okay, edit that out, right? Edit that out. We love you
Yeah.
guys so much for watching. Go Browns. I can't wait to see what Jerry Jeudy does next
Yes.
week. We love y'all. Have a good week.